Let's talk about attraction. It's one of life's biggest mysteries, right? It feels like this totally random, magical thing. But what if it isn't? What if there's actually a blueprint, an architecture that explains why it grows or why it completely disappears? Let's dive in and figure this thing out.
Okay, think about this. Have you ever met someone and you're just not that into them? They seem nice, whatever, but there is zero spark. Then, fast forward a few months, maybe you work together or they're in your friend group, and all of a sudden, bam, you can't get them out of your head. Or, and this one can be even weirder, have you had the total opposite happen? You meet someone and the chemistry is just electric. It's intense, it's all you can think about. And then one random Tuesday morning you wake up and nothing. It's just gone. The switch has flipped. So what gives? What happened in those two scenarios? Was it just a fluke, a weird mood, or is attraction way more complicated and way more psychological than we ever give it credit for? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now. Okay, first up, the slow burn. How does that attraction just sneak up on you out of nowhere? Well, the first clue is realizing that it's not always about that lightning bolt love at first sight moment. A lot of the time, it's a much quieter process happening in your brain. And this brings us to this really cool idea from social psychologist Robert Zions called the mere exposure effect. The principle is actually super simple. We tend to like things and people more just by being around them more often. So it turns out familiarity doesn't always breed contempt. A lot of times, it actually breeds attraction. And you see this play out all the time, right? You see someone at the office every day or at the gym or your local coffee shop. That repetition builds a sense of familiarity. Familiarity, it makes you feel comfortable. And once you feel comfortable and safe, that's when your brain can really start to see them as attractive. Honestly, this is the simple science behind pretty much every coworker crush ever. But just seeing someone a lot isn't quite enough. The real magic ingredient here is emotional safety. I'm talking about when someone really listens to you, respects your boundaries, makes you feel genuinely seen. When that happens, your whole nervous system just relaxes around them. And that deep feeling of safety, that's the fertile ground where real, lasting attraction can grow. All right, let's flip the script. What about the other side of the coin? Why does that super intense can't eat, can't sleep attraction sometimes just vanish into thin air? So that initial spark, that obsessive feeling, yeah, that's your brain on drugs. Seriously. Research from neuroscientist Helen Fisher shows this is your brain's reward system, getting flooded with dopamine. It's a chemical high, and it's fueled by two things, novelty and mystery. But here's the kicker. Novelty, by its very definition, has an expiration date. You can kind of think about it like this. Early attraction runs on a specific recipe. A dash of dopamine, a cup of novelty, a sprinkle of mystery. But that's like rocket fuel. It burns out fast. Long-term attraction? That's built on stuff that lasts. Real connection, that emotional safety we talked about, and genuine respect. If you don't build that foundation, once the chemical rush is gone, there's just nothing left to stand on. Attraction rarely dies in one big dramatic moment. It's more of a death by a thousand cuts. It erodes slowly. Every time you feel unheard, every time a promise gets broken, every time a fight gets swept under the rug, each one of those moments creates a tiny bit of distance. And let's be real, you cannot desire someone you feel emotionally distant from. That disconnection is the silent killer. And all of this leads us to an even deeper truth. As that initial chemical fog starts to clear, something else comes into sharp focus. A person's actual character. And at the end of the day, it's character that either sustains attraction or completely destroys it. And this is where the difference is so stark, right? Confidence is incredibly attractive. Arrogance, it's a total turnoff. Ambition is inspiring, but disrespect is like acid. It just eats away at things. A great sense of humor can build so much connection, but cruelty that's disguised as a joke, that will kill attraction faster than almost anything else. This quote just hits the nail on the head. Sometimes when you lose that feeling, it's not because the other person changed at all. It's because the novelty wore off, and for the first time, you were seeing them for who they really are and who they've been all along. And that moment of clarity can either make you fall deeper, or it can be the end of the line. But here's one last really powerful thought. What if the person who changed was you?
As we grow and evolve, what we're attracted to naturally changes too. The person who seemed amazing to you at 20 might just not be what you need or want at 30. Sometimes a fading attraction is just a sign that you've outgrown the version of yourself that was drawn to them in the first place.
So after all this, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with a really powerful shift in how we think about this stuff. Attraction isn't just a passive feeling that happens to you. It's a verb. It's an active, dynamic force that responds directly to action and to inaction. So let's wrap it up. Attraction responds to safety. It responds to good character. It responds to personal growth, both yours and theirs. It responds to effort. And most of all, it responds to being aware of all these things. It's something that you actively build and maintain through the choices you both make every single day. So, the next time you feel that spark, or you feel it start to fade, don't just write it off as some random mystery. Ask yourself this question: what is my attraction trying to tell me? If it's growing, what safety am I feeling? What character am I seeing? And if it's fading, what is this disconnection trying to show me? Because at the end of the day, your attraction isn't just a feeling, it's feedback.